Excellent, everyone. Let's get started. And we'll still have a lot of people still joining in, but a very warm welcome. We thought we'd get started on time, do some deep dives. And of course, we have hopefully a lot of time to do some experimentation, lots of Q&A, and any live use cases that anybody wants to try out. Although I'll keep mentioning it through the webinar again. Please use the Q&A tab to ask any questions. Would love to start getting into those either midway through the topics, or we'll cover all of them at the very end of this. So this is going to be fantastic. A lot of great stuff has happened in the last 30 days. So let's dive in. So, of course, for those of you who are joining for the first time, we are the Vjal Institute. Our goal is 1 million people, organizations, and governments transformed using AI. It's a crazy goal, and so we're going to need your help to do that. And at the end, I am going to share you the links on how to join us, become an evangelist, become a trainer, and really help people all across the world discover the opportunities and the benefits of the new AI revolution. But the first big topic, of course, is the big DeepSeek freakout. And this is what happened, right? We had a new Chinese open source model called DeepSeek that came out. And this were, some of the highlights or the promises claims. One, of course, the cost efficiency in the training, 5.6 million USD for a GPT-4 class model, coming up to the same level as OpenAI's O1 on all benchmarks. And compared to 100 million USD estimated that it takes to do this in the US, what OpenAI did and other did. Performance on par with leading models. And again, all across the board, O1, Gemini Reason, and other major leading models, both closed source and open source. The claims of use of less advanced hardware, use of older GPU chips from NVIDIA and others due to export controls, hinting at the lack of chip design edge in the US. The idea was that if the US puts chip embargoes on China, there would be a 2-year or 1-year delay in China on the adoption and creation of AI. That would give the US and its allies a big lead. It seems to have not happened. And of course, the big one is that they open source the methods and the weights, not the source code entirely, but again, what it allowed everyone to see is how they did it, copy their methods, and it eliminated overnight a lot of the state-of-the-art modes that many proprietary companies had set up. And this allowed not just the existing companies such as Claude and Anthropic to get an insight into how the reasoning models are being made here, although Anthropic does claim they have one of their own, but allow labs all across the world to very quickly catch up to what is the state of the art. Internationally, we saw a huge stock market drop, market crash, a huge worry about whether these companies really have this sort of edge. Now, in my opinion, that's a little bit of an overreaction, and I think partly it's the media hype and cycle to blame. So, here's the question that everyone asks. Look, if they can do it for 5.6 million, why do we need billions of dollars for AI? Why do we have such strong stocks for NVIDIA, Microsoft, all these amazing companies? And here's the nuance that was missing from the freakout. First, this was well predicted in 2024 with new optimization papers. Early on in the year, we already had a large number of papers, including people who were former OpenAI top researchers, really show that if different parts of the training methods and procedures, whether it is a software code on running the NVIDIA CUDA kernels, to even just simple, more mathematical uh, optimizations, you could have massive gains uh, in time to optimization costs and everything else. So when this happened for people who are in the AI community, and if you've been following my webinars for the last few months, this was well expected and understood. So it's kind of surprising that people are like, oh, this is new. It's kind of well predicted and well priced in into most labs' roadmaps and plans. Plus, also note the 5.6 million USD is the only estimated marginal compute cost, which means the actual processors and RAM and memory run turned into an hourly compute rate, right? This does not include salaries, overhead, and capex. So this doesn't mean that anyone with 10, 15, $20 million can suddenly go out and make one of these top-end models. You will need a huge amount of capital investment or access to a very, very large fleet of training GPUs and often custom hardware, huge amount of salaries. If you're looking at the US, many of the cutting edge AI salaries, 500,000, million at least starting, plus stock options, plus everything else. And so it's not that anyone anywhere in the world with a few $1 million can suddenly replicate this entire thing, all right? And also one of the interesting parts is that we are reaching the limits of existing model architecture, and this massive R&D is needed, which requires many runs. We had the transformer revolution, and you can see this in our course on how AI works. But we had the transformer revolution that sort of kicked off 2.5 years ago. And now what we figured out is that just adding more data using the traditional training architecture, we've hit its limits. And so now we need to have a lot of different R&D runs, and that requires a huge amount of scale. So think about maybe having 20, 30, 40 models being trained simultaneously. And so that itself is, you're talking about a burn rate of $300 to $400 million, even if you take the 5.6 million into consideration. And of course, the larger data centers are enabling new models to be trained in shorter times. It was very common to say, hey, 6 months to 9 months per model iteration. And you're seeing how fast the AI competition is heating up. With the large data centers, huge capex, even if each run is costing less, everybody is expected to be coming out with a new model every 30 days, 60 days, not 6 months, 9 months. And the goal for most labs is to at least hit something new or something optimized every couple of weeks. And think so. This is a big leap and jump, and I think most of us sort of thought this would be kind of obvious by 225, and I think DeepSeek sort of pushed it out to the rest of the world and media. So don't worry, we're on track. The roadmap hasn't changed. This is all within predictable limits. The nice part, and I think that's a deep gratitude to DeepSeek, is for open sourcing all of this. So it allowed the rest of the world to also start doing it. And we've already seen in the past couple of days some amazing new models that are based on the DeepSeek architecture. So I think this thing is very nicely done, but a bit of an overreaction by the stock market. What's also really interesting now is that because it's open source, DeepSeek R1, particularly the reasoning model, is now available on many different places. One of the huge issues people had is, oh, we can't use DeepSeek because we're giving our data to China. Right, and fair enough, that is a valid concern at times. But then if you can take these models and host it wherever you'd like. NVIDIA, of course, is offering it. So is Microsoft, Amazon, a lot of others. You can just take the DeepSeek now and run it on more closed and secure platforms. And so the state of the art is now available to everybody, even if they don't want to use traditional proprietary. And this is, of course, causing a huge, huge amount of boost in many, many countries which perhaps were feeling left behind in the AI race. It does set the bar to become a little bit easier for them to catch up. But I guess it's not just the classic new models, right? So one of the interesting part, and this is very much framed as US versus China, almost every other country is way behind in the AI race. Europe has just launched a bunch of new initiatives, adding up to about $200 billion, combination of both government and private launches to try and catch up. And for the last 10 years, and there's some very good reports, particularly one from Stanford that came out last year, which compares neck to neck US and China AI publications, papers, what they're coming out with. And it is definitely a US-China game as of now. And so it was very interesting to see that not just in the new Gen AI space, but in drug discovery and AI, China is now also catching up. And their biotech and pharmaceutical industry is heavily using AI technology in drug discovery. A lot of articles this week around that, and we're seeing a huge amount of licensing from China to the world for drugs, which means that this isn't just announcements, but people are paying real money to take these drugs out of China and bring it into their countries. And of course, companies in China are now demonstrating that they're able to compete successfully both on the innovation side and cost side in AI. Drug discovery is one of the major utilizations of AI, and we are seeing this in industries well beyond pharma and health happening in China, in the US. And our hope is that, of course, with the democratization of many of these tools, full credit here to AlphaFold and Google, who opened it up to the entire world to be able to do AI protein folding. This is going to allow hundreds of labs to get access to this technology, either for free or very cheap. And so ushering in a great golden age for humanity, hopefully in a few years. We're going to do some live demos on this, right? And so one of the interesting things that we figured out mid 2024 or earlier on is that we hit a wall on data, right? And so we keep talking about, oh, more data, better AI, more data, better AI. That's very much an old classic AI ML view of things. We went from the really mid-sized model to the large to the extra large models, and not much happened there. There wasn't really any major leaps that came on. And because there's lacks of leaps, people were thinking, okay, maybe we can do something with changing the architecture. QN, COT, the chain of thought methodology. And so rather than come up with new foundation models, if you look at DeepSeek R1, O1, O3, Gemini reasoning, they are doing exceptionally well in the benchmarks, and we'll see some of these benchmarks, but they're not really a new foundation model. They're taking the very classic, let's say ChatGPT 4.0 or the Gemini basics, and they're bolting on the ability to do chain of thought reasoning. Now, last year, when we were looking at how to train people on prompting, chain of thought is a method of prompting, and you'll see how these models do it now themselves, really increasing the quality of the output. And in fact, there's a whole bunch of people who are claiming that, in fact, out of the 5.6 million USD that DeepSeek spent on creating their O1 competitor, only about 100,000 was spent on the bolt-on reasoning part that took the foundation model to become so much better. And so what we're seeing in future models are going to be a mix of high quality data, different architectural experiments, and bolt-on external apps and functions. Let's add better search. Let's add automatic prompting. Let's add more apps and systems that allow it to make up for some of the issues it has, but then also present it as a comprehensive AI solution rather than just a foundation model. So let's have a look at this. And there's a very classic basic financial analysis we'll do while we are trying to teach of how to use AI models. And I'm just going to do a fun one. This is from our introductory course. You're an expert in financial analyst and a turnaround consultant with more than 15 years of experience. Think like Harvard MBA, think like Goldman Sachs expert. You are a ruthless candidate and a stickler for numbers and creating shareholder value. Please help us turn around Etsy. We are providing you the latest SEC financial figures. Start with an extremely detailed and comprehensive analysis of all the financials. Give a comprehensive and detailed analysis of the key financial ratios. And third, give us 5 major changes in a detailed form that Etsy can make to enhance shareholder value. A very simple prompt. And what we can do is we can just take some of the financials, and I have the 2023 financials of Etsy from their Q10 publicly listed company. For those, of course, who don't know Etsy, they compete against Amazon as an online marketplace. And I'm just going to take it to something like page 23, which has most of the numbers. And this is a traditional prompt with a traditional run, and I put it at the end of the prompt. Remember, the best way to use any AI LLM is copy paste the data directly. If you put it in as an image or as a PDF, it first converts it to text, and then it sort of gets this part moving. Now, this is what your traditional output would look like. And I'm going to quickly scroll down, and it would immediately start giving us every single thing that it has and do a very reasonable and classic analysis. Now, instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go all the way up here. I'm going to take this entire prompt. I'm going to run it on one of the newer reasoning models. And this, of course, is the O1 Pro. Right now, the flagship model for pro users available by OpenAI. Google also has their Gemini reasoning. This is also competing with DeepSeek R1. Same prompt, same data. I want to show you what changes, right? Now, instead of just directly running this, right, which we would have seen in the classic 4.0, which we just did, this is going to start self-prompting. So it's really trying to look at not just, hey, let's just quickly start to answer it, but we're going to start to create a plan. We're going to look at the financials, we're taking a closer look, we're laying out the options, and we're thinking again and again. And this could take up to 4 to 5 minutes as it starts to do this in a very in-depth way. These models, the ultra reasoning models, again, are very good for PhD level analysis, whether it is R&D, chemistry, bio, financials, genetics, a whole bunch of different options. But also note, they do have a tendency to overthink. So if you're using AI to just write a simple email, don't use one of these models. It'll overthink the answer and you'll get something very, very complicated. But as you can see, these bolt-on chain of thoughts, this is pretty much the same 4.0 model plus plus, but because it's able to sort of self-prompt and think in using the chain of thought methods, it's able to really give a more comprehensive response. So we're going to leave this here. We'll come back to it because it's going to take a few minutes to sort of go through this entire plan and to figure things out. But I did want to share with you that this is a big leap. And for those of who are doing a lot of analytic work, the quality of output on this has really, really gone up by a lot. So please try them out. And most of your major providers now can give you one of these reasoning models, which are there. But remember, don't use it for simple tasks. It will overthink it. Let's go and look at the new sort of search engine models, right? And again, this is deep search, which is now enabled in OpenAI, in Gemini, and we'll do a couple of examples to show this as well. But how does this work, right? So if you've seen our course, one of the big things that we always talk about is that large language models, Gen AI, are not search engines, right? Do not use them for knowledge. Use them for their skills, summarization, analysis, all of that. Don't use it because you can't trust the data inside. To make up for this, what most models used to do is to connect a search engine. So if you go to ChatGPT and you type in something very simple, and let me give you an example of this. What are the coolest movies to watch right now that would make me look smart? And what it's primarily doing is you can see this searching the web bit, right? And it's outsourcing the search to Bing and copy pasting it into this and then sharing the sources. Now, this was the classic method of doing it. The only problem with this method was, of course, that all the basic models were doing was outsourcing the search to a Bing or a Google and then just giving you the results, right? It's like, let me Google that for you. The new deep search, and full credit to Google and then, of course, now OpenAI for really starting this race, is to really teach these models on how to become uh, more advanced searchers, right? So it's like taking a PhD student and teaching them how search works, how to better search the internet, what sources to use, how to think through, then get the search results, then add on that and all. So truly creating a way of looking at a lot of sources and all, and then bring it in. And then using planning and a chain of thought for doing better assumptions of the search and really turning them into more professional looking outputs. Now, I'll show them to you right now, but there are a lot of limitations. Okay, so they can't search through proprietary sources. So those beautiful databases with amazing, amazing quality data can't do it yet. They can't really ingest and copy and bring in PDFs. A lot of good data is in PDF still, non-web databases which aren't there. But we are already seeing open source versions and of course some more proprietary ones building on the same methodologies to bridge this gap. And so this is just a start. And one of the interesting things that we've seen is the massive, massive leap this has had, right? And so if you look at this new exam, which is called Humanity's Last Exam, and I've uh, shown the citation in case you want to find it. The idea was this was supposed to be the last exam as last year's benchmarks. AIs were hitting 88% to 95% on this, so we needed a new test. Great effort, brilliant scientists behind this. But you can see already, we had ChatGPT 4.0, it was barely clocking in at 5% of the exam, a truly hard exam. But then as we see this go, already we go to Grok 2, we have OpenAI o1 hits 10%. This is to the new reasoning models. But then you start seeing this beautiful curve, right? And then suddenly with the deep search capabilities, we hit 25 to 30%. And so this very, very, very insane curve on this year's models being able to quickly beat benchmarks still continues. But what we're seeing these accomplishments happen not because fundamentally the AI has become smarter or better, is the architectural changes and the bolt-on features that are making these massive breakthroughs. So let's look at deep search, and I'm going to use a very commonly asked question. How do we convert PDFs? How do we do OCR? And so let's look at that coming in. And so I'm going to take a simple Gemini. This is the 1.5 Pro with the deep search. Of course, 2.0 has just come out. Brilliant set of models. We'll talk about this. And I just want to show you the simple prompt. You're an expert at OCR in the age of AI. Please prepare a comprehensive and detailed reports on how we can convert our PDFs and other complex documents into search formats and then directly put into large language models. Focus your research on both academic and industry sources with a tilt to the very latest and cutting edge options. Create a detailed and comprehensive final report, which includes comparisons of various methods and solutions. And our target audience is expert level. So the details and understanding should have to be in depth and at a very high level of accuracy. And so let's run this. Now, with the deep search, what it's going to do, it's first going to think of a plan of how should we do this, right? And so here's the plan. I'm going to first search a whole bunch of web pages and websites, and here's the places it's going to search. It's going to analyze the results, create the reports, and it says it's going to do it. Obviously, you can edit the plan and sort of work with it to come up with something more specific. But let's just start the search. And what we're seeing now with the huge deep research system is it's quickly going to a whole bunch of online sources, reading through them, really trying to figure out what they are, summarizing, and you can see it's already started doing all the huge amount of research for you. Now, I did this earlier with ChatGPT's version of this using the deep research. And what it did was it quickly asked me a few questions, which I answered. And I said, okay, I want look at complex PDFs, look at business documents, we want larger scale batch process, all of this. And then it took 6 minutes and it searched 25 sources and it was able to give a fairly comprehensive report with each of the sources clearly cited. It came up with good comparisons and a very, very detailed uh, analytical report, but also something that's well reasoned because again, I'm using the O1 Pro's ability here to be able to really deep dive into this. Now, uh, this is still early days for both of these. Google Gemini tends to use a lot more sources than I would say OpenAI at the moment. But you can see as these models get better, as you're able to connect these to proprietary sources, as we get more open source and closed source solutions, which are geared towards this, we're going to have an explosion of these models' abilities to now use a wider range and sources of data and bring them in to create custom reports. So a huge leap for all of those who are used to doing deep dives as part of your personal or professional responsibilities. Please do try them out. It is a really big leap in their ability to answer complicated questions. Um, So nice to see India finally enter the race. Haven't had a chance to sort of independently verify the model, but I thought this was a nice launch, Sutra R-0. And again, this is also a thinking model. And what I really love about it, of course, it's focus on now really trying to hit Indian languages. And I think we are going to see more and more of this as we have more open source options that come out, more models that are um, being fine-tuned, if not foundational models, that every country will be able to at least start optimizing them for their local languages. And a country like India, which has many, many languages, and without having those languages be an intrinsic part of AI, a large part of the world population would be left behind. And so it's really nice to see these custom ones coming up. And we're seeing more and more countries being able to enter the race, and seeing India up there with focus on languages is absolutely fantastic. And uh, I'm hoping that other countries where there is a large mix of differential languages, even if they're very small, will follow soon. This was a big controversial slide. Of course, many of you know Yan LeCun, the chief scientist at Meta, and he's had a very controversial take on large language models for a while. You can see his frequent bouts with Elon Musk back and forth. Um, but of course, he presented this slide, and this has been controversial. A lot of people are going back and forth with them, agreeing and detracting these views. And his biggest thought is that the large language models, which are, to be fair, glorified fill in the blank games with bolt-on architectural stuff, as we just realized, aren't going to be the ones who get us to, human level intelligence or AGI or all of that, right? And so he's making the case for this. My take is honestly, the transformer architecture, the large language models, even the diffusion architecture, all of these are maybe 2 years old. They are breakout stars, but there's probably a dozen other architectures, Rain, for example, which because of the sudden interest in AI are now being funded. And so we will see a new architecture every couple of months, which will perhaps be as successful or more successful than our traditional large language transformer models. And so I think it's a great wait and watch for the next couple of years. Now, which one of these will actually lead to human level intelligence? And again, that definition itself is up for grabs. But I do think that we are going to look at 2 to 3 major um architectural breakouts, which have nothing to do with the existing transformer LLMs, either this year or next year. And let's see where that leads us. So I think Yang LeCun may or may not be right about the large language models, but I still do agree with him that it's worth exploring many more different AI architectures just so we see where this all can go. And for those of who have been in classic AI ML, transformers was a huge leap, right? And many of us thought it wouldn't even work. And so I'm sure there are a lot more AI architectures out there, which hopefully will give us those amazing leaps as well. So please keep an eye on this space. We're just getting started on AI. I'm going to wait for this till the end of this because I'm going to have to change my location on my computer, and I'm worried I'll get dropped out of the webinar. But we'll come back to operator, which is and Claude, of course, did this first last year, and we had seen this in two updates ago. But I'm going to show you how it can sort of act as a robotic process automator on its own and start completing tasks. So we'll come back to this at the end of the webinar, just so if I drop off, it's not such a big disruption. Google has launched its entire suite of 2.0 models. Please try them out. And the two big capabilities that these have that perhaps existing models are still struggling with. One is the multimodal, handling audio and video simultaneously. There's some of the only high-end models where you can just toss in an entire video and get it to understand and help you think through it. And of course, the very high-level context windows. Most models available off shelf, including OpenAI, for consumer users have a limitation of being able to handle about 32,000 tokens or 32,000 words. And the enterprise ones going up to 128,000. The fact that you have state-of-the-art models which can do 2 million, is fantastic. And so you can, copy paste 5 books, 10 articles, and please answer this one question using this. Google is pretty much the only game in town. Mistral as well. But when it comes to state of the art, Google is absolutely leading at high context. And of course, huge leaps in pricing, particularly around excellent OCR skills. So reading PDFs, translating them, bringing them into text. This used to be very expensive using AI models, and the new pricing by Google, particularly on their API, has truly changed. So please check out the new suite of models. They are available now even at the consumer pricing, and so I thought this was a great leap. I've been known to make a lot of fun of Google in my classes, saying, they have the best technology in the world, but where is it? I can't see it. Well, we can see it now. And starting in December with the launch of the new View video models, and these new models, Google is 100% in the game and has really started leading in a lot of places in AI. So please have a look. And this is something very accessible and very cool for all of us to try out. Couple of new launches. This is Project Starlight, and I'm going to reshare so I can optimize for video and sound. There you go. And let's have a look.
We've been working on image and video enhancement for over 20 years now. And in all that time, there was one main problem with video enhancement, that of temporal consistency. Even though we can make one frame look really good, as soon as you put those frames together, you can easily see motion artifacts and inconsistencies between frames and objects. But now, for the first time ever, we're introducing Project Starlight, the world's first diffusion model for video enhancement that fully solves temporal consistency. With it, you can get surprising results on everything from old home videos to professional shoots. We consider this one of the most important breakthroughs that we've ever made. Comment the word Starlight below for.
Fantastic new launch. Please have a look. It's called Project Starlight, and the ability to take really old, grainy videos, movies, places, videos, all the way back to the 60s, 70s, 80s, and really bring them up to high definition, automatically clean them up straight shot is a massive capability. Please try it for your home videos as well. If you have some of those old camcorder videos, which are very grainy, and see how it goes. I think this is a big leap using the new AI systems. And I hope we can see even more and more of this happen, particularly as we look back at history. We've seen these last 6 months with a lot of old school photos, the ability to enhance, recolor, all of that, and getting it for video is absolutely amazing. So please try it out. And this is very cool.
We've been working.
This is absolutely fantastic. And let me explain to you why this is fantastic before playing the video. One of the biggest problems we had with AI, particularly on the vision models, pre-transformer, very good at counting stuff. So if you look at something like YOLO 10 and all of those models, very good at counting things, very good at things, but very bad at the context. New vision models, very good at context, really being able to take something and tell you what's happening. Oh, these are these type of apples, or this is what this person is wearing. Very bad at counting. And I think this is fantastic. I want to have a look at this new leap.
Here's something fun. Agentic object detection. Traditional object detection in computer vision requires drawing a lot of bounding boxes to label data and then training a neural network, and it's just a time-consuming process. With agentic object detection, you write a prompt saying what you want, like unripe strawberries, and a visual AI agent thinks for a while, and then you get a result like this. Looks like I did a good job getting only the unripe strawberries here. This requires labeling 0 training examples. I'm excited about this because it changes the workflow of visual AI problems, where instead of having to get data and label it and train a model and so on, you just say what you want, and then you get a result. Agentic systems refers to AI systems that use design patterns like reflection and tool use and planning and multi-agent collaboration to reason at length about the task before generating a high-quality output. In comparison, using large multimodal models or LLMs for object detection is akin to glancing at an image and immediately spitting out a result. Our agentic object detection takes longer to reason about an image, similar to how OpenAI's O1 and DeepSeek R1 take a while to reason about text problems to then generate a much higher quality output. So you can just write a prompt like planes with 2 engines and get a result. Or Kellogg's branded cereal and get a result. In our internal benchmarking, agentic object detection significantly outperforms systems by other leading teams. One weakness is that it does take a while, maybe 20 to 30 seconds, to process an image. But this is a work in progress, and our team is working hard to make this better, so you can expect many updates over time. I could never have built an object detection system this quickly before. Please have fun playing with the demo on our website, and for developers, check out the API too. I hope you build some cool things.
This is absolutely amazing. Massive, massive leap for all sorts of industrial and personal uses, whether you're in retail, manufacturing, construction. Vision plays a large role. We have everything from CCTV cameras to drones to online vision that looks at different things. And traditionally, when we are creating these systems, it requires a whole bunch of training data, right? So to take, for example, the strawberry example, you have to give huge amounts of examples of unripened and ripened strawberries. You would train a custom model, and then it would be able to do that, right? Or if you're looking at a construction site and you want to see whether are there any safety concerns happening, you have to do a lot of training to get that to a very high level. Now, the contextual vision models are able to do that really well, but the fact that we're now able to do label-less models, which are able to directly through prompting think again, this is that chain of thought type reasoning models that have really leaped in the last year. This has hit vision, and this is absolutely game changing. So I highly encourage you to have a look at this and see what amazing applications you can come up with in your industry and in your work. This is going to change a lot. We have a huge amount of sources of pictures in our workflow and in context, and being able to accurately find, describe, and use them is great. And so, hurrah to Renji for this amazing leap. And
Here's something.
this is another major breakthrough. Time series models, particularly for forecasting, whether it's sales, whether it's figuring out if how long a machine will run before there's a breakdown, or bread and butter in AI/ML for years. And one of the interesting parts, of course, is that there are a limited number of methodologies and different models that use this. And so to see a new foundation model for time series is incredible. And obviously, this is from China, so it plays into a theme of the DeepSeek freakout for this month. Please have a look at this. Yes, this is a mathematical version of it, but it's absolutely amazing that we are now seeing a huge leap happening, even with what is normally considered a very classic AI/ML problem of just predicting time series. And again, time series prediction are used from everything from sales, inventory, stock market investing. If you are using these for that, absolutely game changers. And I'm really hoping we see a lot more of these so we can go back and start reforming and transforming a lot of traditional AI/ML use cases that had hit certain levels of accuracy problems or had certain issues with either data cleanup or insufficient data to be able to really forecast forward. So Sundial, great option. Please have a look. And of course, very well benchmarked against a whole bunch of different ones that are coming out. Video continues to surprise. I still don't think video is ready for prime time, in the sense that AI generated video is excellent if you are a professional in this space, in terms of getting B-roll, in terms of getting good footage. We're seeing a lot of ads that are being made using this. We're seeing music videos. We're seeing the first semblance of short movies, but it still needs a huge amount of professional work on it, pre-production, post-production, prompting. This is not something a layperson can just come in and say, oh, I'm going to prompt my way to make a great ad. That's not going to happen. It's still very much an expert-led field, but as this year passes, I think it's going to become more and more exact, more and more accessible. I think Pika did a great job on this. This is their new Pika ad. I think a lot of fun, and I think a great way to sort of push the boundaries on what videos can do. Obviously, we're seeing the way images had done last year, but more in the case of video, it's your workflows are not just going to be about prompting into video. It's using existing video assets, using existing motion, using existing tools that sort of come in and then blending them together to get the output you want. And this has always been the case in the film industry, in the movie and video production industry. So it's not surprising that we're seeing different model companies being able to use different techniques to try to blend these together to make workflows. So please try it out. Lots of fun, but obviously to truly take it to a very professional grade, it's still going to take a little bit more time. But we're seeing the dramatic increases right now. And this is one of those. So one of the biggest issues that we saw, whether it was a great Sora launch, whether it was View, whether it was all of this, is the fact that when it comes to motion, particularly human motion or animal motion, they kind of don't get it right. And so this is Meta's new drop on really getting physics and proper motion into video. So let's have a look. Simple acts of cutting sushis or picking up objects or moving your body around. Struggling. And so as we see these physics corrections become better and better, I think all those small irritants that said, oh my God, my AI video was almost perfect, but oh, look what they did to their hand, or oh, there's a break in motion of moving. I think this is a big leap in making sure that the physics of what we see is correct. And if you go beyond the fantasy world and the magic world, our eyes get very irritated when we see a classic video when like someone's moving the way they shouldn't, or an object is moving the way it shouldn't. It sort of breaks that immersive feeling. And having video that actually does this with true physics is a big leap forward. And so our hope is we're going to see massive improvements month on month in video, and hopefully by the end of the year we will see a true video model that can really allow you to do amazing things without needing a lot of experience in professional video editing and being able to stitch these together. On that note, another big drop, ByteDance Omni-Human 1. And this is another great video technique where you take an image and you take some sort of signaling to that image, like an audio file or another video, and it can deep fake it together. And so this is their demo with.
What would art be like without emotions? It would be empty, What would our lives be like without emotions? They would be empty of values. So a famous classical poet said, "We hate and we love. Can one tell me why?" Catullus. Science does not answer why questions.
Beautiful, right? And again, most video systems are going to be combinations of all of these, real-time generations, deep faked, motion physics, all of these coming together. We are seeing where this is going. And hopefully, as companies start combining all these techniques, 6 months, 1 year, we'll truly see something unique. ByteDance, of course, the guys who made TikTok, obviously a lot of controversy happening in the US on that, but it's great to see that they're able to use a lot of the information they've had with all those TikTok videos to do something really cool.
What would
They also have a new model out. And again, this shows the fact that China still is able to pump out these extraordinary leaps. And this is Duobo 1.5 Pro. And it's able to, this is a foundation model. Obviously, it's not competing with the reasoning models like O1, R1, and Gemini reasoning. But of course, it's being able to at least keep up and in some places exceed the standard benchmarks. And so the AI race is still on very much. And we're seeing more and more companies being able to take out these foundation models. And then hopefully with the new chain of thought and a lot more architecture experiments, we'll see those use cases this year become more significant. Last year, almost all of the labs seem to be copying the standard transformer techniques really pioneered by OpenAI and by Google. And now we're seeing them start to go in very different directions. And that very different directions is superb for innovation and for us to be able to do a lot more, especially as we start hitting the limitations of many of these in our enterprise and professional work streams. This was a little bit expected, but we're seeing it more. And obviously, my key takeaway is oversimplified here. So please read the original paper. And there's an so pretty much Microsoft did a deep dive on this. And where they're seeing is that people who overtrust AI models tend to think less and critically think less or shift their critical thinking. This is, again, one of those alarm bells that people have been worried that, if AI comes, will our kids and our next generation stop thinking? With our current people really stop using their brains? We've seen a lot of these examples having where people overtrust AI and they haven't really thought through. They don't even bother reading before copy pasting the answers. It's a genuine concern, and I think one of the big things the Vjal Institute is working on is making sure everything we do is free for schools, free for colleges, and all of our courses or all of our systems are completely accessible to them all the time. And for us, this is really important because we do believe that ensuring that the next generation continues to have a high level of thinking abilities and critical thinking abilities, even with the support of AI or in the absence of AI. I think those are foundationally important. But I think this is also a call for each and every one of us to self-reflect, especially those of us who are using AI significantly, on how much have we outsourced our brain to AI rather than making it a true partner in a co-creation attempt, rather than just becoming copy pasters. So please have a look at the paper. I think there's a good nuanced job of reasoning through certain things. This is Anthropic's interesting report based on its usage. And honestly, having read through the paper, I disagree with much of what they say. I think it's good data points, and I think part of it is just people not being able to use AI effectively. At the Institute, we've been transforming companies now for 2 years. We see a lot of amazing, amazing use cases, amazing, amazing things that are being done. But a lot of it is just people just don't know how to use it well. And I think one of the reasons why our institute keeps pushing out new courses to really try to get people to be very effective at using AI. And so although this is a nice indicator of how people are using AI, to me, it's more an indicator of how there's a lack of AI education. And I'm going to post some interesting links for all of you as well. both in terms of learning from some of our new courses that we have, as well as seeing what AI can do for your organization and company. Voice is becoming incredible, right? So we've seen 11 labs, we've seen what in the last update what Notebook LM can do, and this is another open source high fidelity model. I do want you to have a listen.
Attention everyone. We are gathered here today to discuss Zonos, our new open source text-to-speech model.
Believe me, folks, I know all the voice models. Let me tell you, Xaiffr's is the best of the best. It's about to change everything.
I'm a pretty busy guy, but I have to say, this really caught my attention. It's clear Xaiffr took a step back and thought about first principles when building this one.
Our models are fully open source under the Apache 2.0 license and allow unlimited voice cloning.
Hold on to your headphones because it's super expressive, like a voice actor in your computer.
Much like the marvels of nature, our voices adapt with a grace and subtlety that captivates every listener.
Imagine a voice that's playful, energetic, and
Again, amazing it's open source. And of course, this is pushing the limits of voice cloning and what it can do. Please try it out. Obviously, there are limitations and huge ethical concerns on it. But the fact that we can now have this high fidelity level of voice just be an open source model and not be very restricted to proprietary systems is going to push the limits of what we can do with voice. And especially expressive voice, we've had good cloning in open source where we've had very standard voice, narrative, storytelling, but not this level of high emote and expression. Zonos is just another line of amazing breakthroughs on this. Please try it out. It's really something cool. Robotics continue. And we did a deep dive on these maybe 2 updates ago, and we'll probably do another one next month as we see more and more. And one of the interesting parts that we are looking at is the ability of merging transformer-based simulation environments with robotics. So here's the thing, right? If you want to have a great robot that learns, you have to have training data. And so think about all the millions and millions of miles that Tesla and Waymo's cars have driven to get it training data on what happens, what are the road conditions and all. If you want to have robots, you have 3 options. Robot-only environments, highly efficient, fantastic. Robot-human combination environments, a lot less efficient and clear delineations of where humans are, where robots are, and the real world, which is human environments with robots entering in. Think your home, your office, and all these other places which are built for humans first, robots second. To train a huge number of robots in those environments, you originally had to have robots in those environments. Dangerous, difficult, expensive. But now with the 2 launches, a partner is one of them. Genesis is another, which was the breakthrough in December. We are able to create these completely simulated environments where robots can learn and train on how to work together and be in the same environments that human beings are, but do it for millions and millions and millions of scenarios without them physically having to exist. And so this is going to really, really change how fast we see robots come in. Things that we would thought were possible maybe 10 years from now, probably going to happen in the next year or 2 years. So hold this space. We are seeing lots of companies, obviously, including Tesla, who are already launching very human environment robots, but these training environments are going to allow them to supercharge. And obviously, a big concern has always been safety. And I love that the fact that these new planning systems that allow social robots to be really trained in a safe manner. You can imagine around kids, around the elderly, where they really have a lot of uses right now as well. Claude, and I just want to show this for fun more than anything else. So of course, there's a minor drama on Claude jailbreak testing that's there. And of course, Claude is trying to position itself as the safest model. And so it's offering up its model for jailbreaking. And jailbreaking, for those of you who do this for fun, is you can take a model. This is what makes it so difficult for chatbots and voice bots to be deployed. The Vjal Institute is becoming more and more opinionated on how we bring these bots into enterprise in a safe manner. If you want to learn more about that, please contact us. Happy to walk you through our current methodologies. But one of the issues is that most of the models are fairly easy to jailbreak. You can fool them, you can convince them, you can hack them fairly quickly. And so Claude came out with a public one. Obviously, they didn't want to give any money. Now they have started giving $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 to do this. But I thought it was a great thing that they're at least publicly trying to get people to do safety testing rather than just keep it private. And I'm hoping more and more models come out with incentives for jailbreaking, as well as rewards beyond just social credibility. Last, before we move to Q&A and examples, please become a member, spread the word, become a trainer. Thank you for joining and staying with us on this. I'm going to give you a couple of webinar exclusives. So one, of course, I'm putting our classic 10% off any annual memberships that you'd like for those of you who like to join us. Naturally, we have a couple of free courses. One is AI for Fun and Families. I posted that has been free and continues to be free. Our great fitness course, which is there as well. And of course, I want to also give you, for those of you who haven't had a chance to take any of our more professional courses, there's a free trial for all of you who have attended the webinar for you to look at and think about as well. Please consider becoming an AI trainer. All of us are dedicated to completely transform and expand AI all across the world. I'm pasting the in-person option we have coming up in the UAE. We also have a one option for becoming a trainer by doing it fully online. For many of you, of course, have geographical restrictions. We do plan to try and get these to as many physical locations around the world as possible. But I've pasted the link in case you want to do it entirely online. And thank you so much for joining us today. And let's move to the question answer bit. And please use the Q&A tab to our question. We already have a lot of them in. And let's get started. Elicit, you can't upload documents on O1. No, but the O3 models, as of I think this morning, you can start uploading documents. So that is a very, very nice leap that's there. I think that's a fantastic sort of jump that OpenAI has done. Definitely things that are not, let's take a pause on documents. I actually do not recommend uploading documents simply because when you upload a PDF, it converts it to text. So what happens when you convert a PDF to text? Poof, right? Text goes everywhere. And so our standard recommendation is, if possible, always copy paste or convert it to text yourself. Don't upload documents. If you must upload documents, they should be very large, or for some very specific reason, documents don't go into the prompts. What happens with documents is that they go to a document search engine. The large language model then searches their document search engines to take out the relevant sections of the document. All of it doesn't go into the large language model processing. This can be good, this can be bad, depending on the quality of the document search engine that large language model is using, the formatting of the document, the text, all of that, right? So in general, avoid uploading documents, but yes, O3 and all can have that. And I'm sure O1 Pro probably in the next week or so should get it as well. It's going to answer live. How can we try access O1, O3? Christos, if you have a ChatGPT Plus account, you can access it now. You can't access O1 Pro. You can access O1 now. And all you have to do, if you haven't seen this, is just go, and I'm going to just share my screen here so you see this. And what you can do is you can go and click on this dropdown. Now, depending on the plan you have, you will see various different models. And most of you who have the Plus plan should be able to at least see, the O3 Mini, maybe the O3 Mini High, and maybe the O1 mode as well. And of course, these have limitations. Some of them may be 50 messages per day, some of them 4 or 5 messages per month, which is the deep research ones. OpenAI just this morning enhanced those limits. So have a look, and it's rolling out across the world. So depending on your geography, you might see more or less limits. Akinaki, thank you for this webinar lecture. I think Google searching with the advanced in AI model for better understanding. Absolutely. And we haven't, we have Perplexity, we have traditional Google search, we have Google generative search, but I think this notion of this deep search system becoming just a norm for everybody, not just for creating large reports, but just to answering questions, but being able to search a lot of sources automatically, synthesizing, evaluating, and coming, is a big leap for all of us. And that feels what search should be right now. It's very expensive just because of the, it's a lot of inference, a lot of searches, a lot of prompting, but we should see the quality go up and the cost drop this year. So I really do see the deep search in a limited form replacing traditional search very soon. Bruno, are these new architectures still going to work in a probabilistic way, regardless of using transformers or not? Bruno, that's a great question. So some of them are probabilistic. If you look at the rain models and all, similarly, they have that probabilistic things. There are other non-probabilistic models as well. But the fundamental fact is that most of them are still stuck in neural net land, right? And that itself, given the way neural net works, given the way training works, given the way chips and all work in their error rate, there is going to be a probabilistic. But what we're seeing in the new architectures, beyond just the plain models themselves, is a lot of the bolt-ons, right? So deep search, no longer probabilistic, getting real search results, right? Really being able to go and see a high-end quality of data and analyze it beyond probabilities due to pre-done expert work, again, not probabilistic. Connecting to enterprise systems, databases, ERPs, again, non-probabilistic. So I think blending all of these as solution architectures is what's really going to drive moving away from those high probabilistic error rates and to something more certain. So I think this is going to be something that's really driving 2025 to make it cheaper, faster, and easier to get 95, 96, 97, even 98% accuracy without having to do too much prompting. What is the level of AI training in India and its impact? I think India is just getting started. We have some amazing people who are advising the Indian government. They're absolutely incredible. We have a lot of deep knowledge of how these models work. Again, thanks to the open source community and India's connection and contribution to it, we're seeing India really, really take a leap forward as well. There's huge amount of investments that are being made very quietly in large inference data centers to run these models locally. A lot of investments we now in training as well. And India certainly has the size, scale, and need to have at least 5 or 10 local models that really, really match the values of the people of India, and of course match the local linguistics needs that also happen. But I think it's just a start right now. I think in 2 to 3 years, you're going to see a lot of heavy lifts happen. And I think the Indian government is on the right track for most of it, really getting this out more and more. Thomas Prado, may I know if you'll have a certificate of participation? Absolutely, Thomas. At the end of the webinar, we will be sending, since you have shown up and registered, we will be sending certificates to everybody. You should get that right after, or at least within 24 hours. I should have set that up first. Don't worry, you are going to get a certificate of participation for showing up. Thank you. Akhil, same question. You will be getting a certificate of attendance. So that is something we've done each time. I know many of you need that for your work, for tax, for continual education credits. We got your back. We are absolutely going to do this. Bruno, do you know if I can start out deep search capabilities in Brazil? Bruno, it should work in Brazil. I'm surprised it doesn't. Obviously, you can VPN, left and right, and you should be able to access that there. I think they have enabled 2 free deep searches for ChatGPT free accounts as well. So you could try creating a new one and seeing how to use it. But 2 a month is kind of small, so it's more of a test use right now. But I expect many of the large companies who are obsessed with search, certainly Google, maybe Microsoft, will really start seeing this as the future of search. And so apart from being like a nice, simple thing that you have in the models, it should become something that is very standard in your Bing or Google or DuckDuckGo search bars very soon. Any GPT from India? Well, you have Sutra R-0. You have a lot of them coming out, some of them based on open source. Some of them are coming out from more foundational models. There are a couple of more I know, which unfortunately I can't talk about in a public webinar, but you will see many of them coming out this year. Many of them very, very good. And again, I really like the fact that most of them are really focusing on high localization, Indian data, Indian languages, and more importantly, Indian values, right? I think one of the things, and we had the Vice President of the U.S., J.D. Vance, give a huge lecture on this, yesterday, and in fact, in another forum a couple of days ago, really asking the world that, look, the United States wants AI models in the United States and their allies to match US values of free speech, of openness, or all of that. I think every country has its own set of values, its own culture, its own sensitivities. China, very different from Europe, very different from India. And I think models increasingly we are seeing tend to have internalized value systems. And therefore, it makes a lot of sense for every country to create models or multiple models that have different or shared values. And I think this is going to become very important as sovereign AI becomes a huge deal in the next couple of years or even months, quite frankly. Ahmed, I have a large volume of emails, which to have an automated AI respond to them with some training. Any editor can do that. Ahmed, that's very easy. We have a wonderful course online, and you can go to learn.vjal.ai on how to connect things together, and it's very similar things to connect it to email. Obviously, just depending on the complexities of your email, but this is something that can be done. Should you do it? Should you just wait for most of the major email providers to have this on the box? Just depends. Is it a personal or is it a professional or industrial? Certainly, we've helped a lot of companies do this for high-level ticketing systems where you have a huge number of customer service email comes in, get AI to quickly draft responses and then support your customer service agents. That's very easy to do very quickly. And in fact, most of our online courses, particularly the bots and agents, will teach you how to do this. If it's a very interesting use case, happy to help. So what kind of use case are you seeing our clients looking at how they are different 2 years ago? So I think that's a great question. So if you do the transformation right, and we have a very simple way of doing it, we have alignment. Alignment, by the way, is very important to make sure everybody's on the same page. Otherwise, people have a very different opinion of AI and how it connects to their system. So really aligning your C-suite, aligning your level 1 managers on the same page is very important. What we're seeing for people who do it well, we're seeing 3 to 5x personal productivity and professional productivity increase across the board. Again, the more senior you are in the organization, the higher productivity. This is definitely a technology where the older you are, the more productive you get. So if you can get your C-suite and C-suite -1 to use it very effectively, you're seeing big, big leaps, right? If it's just very junior people using it, you're seeing leaps, but it's 30, 40, 50%. It's not 3x, 5x. I think that's one of the interesting things that we're seeing finally hit as people start using it more and more and more. Certainly, what's changed from last year is we are seeing most of our clients, and this is something we are recommending, is to stop using chatbots. And most of the use cases people were doing last year as chatbot, we actually want people to move away from chatbots and move to a more sophisticated use of AI. The chatbots are great for individual productivity, and we still do that, training, getting them up and running, but we want them to quickly move away from chatbots into more fundamental changes in their business, their process, and changing. And that's a big leap we are trying to get people to make. And in fact, when I go into most companies right now, the first conversations I have with them, okay, guys, chatbots great for individuals to build their productivity. Beyond those, stop using chatbots. And there are different ways you can do that, and that's safer, better, faster, and more compliant. Particularly if you have security as a big concern, chatbots aren't very friendly for those. AC, you're going to get an e-certificate. We're going to show the difference. Oh, Jahan, I totally forgot. Thank you. Yeah, sorry. I got sidetracked. Here we go. We did get that response. Absolutely. So a full 2 minutes of thinking, and you'll see a much better, more comprehensive planned answer. The numbers, by the way, are much, much more, I would say I can trust them a lot more than the classic 4.0 models, and really, really sort of going in depth into it. Also, again, this level of analysis, then this is just part one, it finished. Now you have part two, the key financial ratios, really thinking them through, debt equity, total assets, profitability, and these are the big ones. Now, obviously, we are using this a bit of a search engine, which we shouldn't because we're making assumptions about Etsy. But I mean, if you look deep dive into these recommendations, these are much, much, much more well thought through than just whatever the first answer you would get out of, 4.0. Oh, sorry about that. I should have showed you earlier. But you can see a much, much more level of deep dive and answers that have come out from there. And again, try it particularly for things that require deep reasoning. Okay, again, you don't use it for writing emails. It's not going to work really well. It's overthink it. Ida, can I get the PPT? Oh, this is recorded. Obviously, you're going to you will be able to see a sanitized, cut up version of it. You won't have all the benefits attending. You won't get the certificate if you don't attend, but yes, you will get this. Fidras, best document PD search engine. Fidras, I hate to give off-the-cuff recommendations without knowing the use case. But I'll tell you, so the two major ones that the styles of thing, and you can think about which ones. One is your new one, which is the vector embedding model, which looks at similarities and semantics. This is the one that most startups and most large companies are deploying for chatbots. When they work, they are great. I don't like them for high accuracy just because it's still a semantic search. So it's very interesting if you're just doing FAQs or something like that, but it's not very in-depth. And then you have the traditional enterprise document search engines, an Elasticsearch or an Amazon Kendra or a cognitive search in there. And then you have the new engines which combine multiple different techniques. So this is a booming area just because of how much AI is dependent on these document search engines. So please make sure the use case matches the search engine. We see a lot of clients mess this up, just because, hey, everyone's using vector embedding, so let's just use that. Well, what are your documents? In what state are they? Are there PDFs involved? Are there images? Are there? So all of those plays a role in deciding. And again, it's not about cost, quite frankly. You can get good price search engines at all different price ranges. It's just finding the right architecture for that specific solution. And usually we find very high quality answers for most use cases. Document and enterprise search is not a new issue. We have 2 or 3 good decades of a lot of data, papers, and methods. So pick the appropriate search engine for the appropriate use case. That's it should be obvious, but that's certainly what I would like to say. For PDFs, in particular, again, a lot of different types of PDF converters, PDF searches. In general, my recommendation for PDF is to spend the time, energy, and money first converting them once into text image systems. It's a one-time effort to do it. And then the quality of search, then you're just searching the converted, not the original. And that just really improves everybody's experience of search. And obviously, once you get the content out of the PDF, the quality is also higher. John, is the curriculum same for the online in-person? John, pretty much. I think the in-person just allows you to, experience and see how training actually happens. It's a much more comprehensive in terms of if you want to be hyper-focused and do it. The exam is also in person versus online, but the curriculum remains the same. In fact, you would probably do half the online curriculum before you would come in the in-person in any case. And so the in-person is just a great way also to meet everybody and know, but there isn't a significant difference in the curriculum itself as well. It's just in the experience and how you learn. Some people are very good at learning online and finishing and doing the final exam and submitting and starting. And some people just want to sit in a room with a whole bunch of other people for a day and a half and do it. So it's just your experience of it. I personally always prefer the in-person one, but that's me. We have a lot of trainers who are very happy with the online, and you can do that as well. Would you be interested in collaborating on trainings or anything else? Absolutely. We are still very much a social impact company. We want to collaborate on everything. If you need help in becoming a trainer. If you want to collaborate on trainings, that's great. If we do a lot of consulting work now, if you need us to help you become a better AI consultant or give you tools for that, very happy to do that. We have coaching programs. There's a whole bunch of different things. Please have a look at our updated website. We're not going to get to 1 million people, organization, and governments if you just try to do everything ourselves. So very happy to collaborate, and that's what we're really here for. Amrish, what is the first course you recommend you take? Amrish, if you are C-suite, if you are really from a strategic side of AI, I really want to do this, I really recommend the C-suite one. That is absolutely the most comprehensive course. If not, I recommend the AI for professionals. That gets you, for most people who are non-C-suite, from like 0 to 80, how does it work, how to use it in your basic life, start doing some very interesting things on that. So those are the two major ones. We do have a lot of upcoming ones. We've done industry-specific ones in person. We're trying to bring them online. Turns out, and I'll be very open with you guys on this, a lot of times it ends up we're not teaching AI, but we're teaching the actual course. So we have a AI for HR course, which we do now in person. But what we realize is when we're training people online in AI for HR, 80% of the course is training people on HR, 20% is AI. And so we're really trying to figure out how do we make sure that either everybody has a minimum understanding of HR before we do the AI part, or then we just do HR plus AI as a course. And so we have a lot of those coming out as well. And so stay tuned as we figure out the balance of how much is an AI course and how much is just teaching a traditional industry or a traditional functional role. Is it problematic to share the same ChatGPT account across a small organization, getting confused all the different prompts needs? Yeah, so for those of you who are resource constrained, my recommendation would be twofold. One, instead of sharing the same ChatGPT account, and yes, you mentioned, yes, turn off memories, turn off custom actions, you can, but there are a lot of free good tools as well that you can use, and you can turn on the privacy settings and all. Meta AI is free, Grok with a K is free, and so as long as the privacy settings are turned on and you're confident on that, and you're not using, highly regulated data, if cost is a consideration, please look at all the free tools, all the free AI tools beyond ChatGPT that are there, that everyone can use. And certainly, if you're using some of the more advanced features that you can't get access to, then sharing an account with 1 or 2 people is fine. But again, there are lots of very good free AI tools now available, which are easily GPT-4 class and plus. So please use those as well. ChatGPT isn't the end all and be all, particularly if money is a concern. Patrick, send me an email. If you can just send exactly what you just said to outreach at AI. And I'm going to we have changed our agreement for trainers again from lots of feedback. Unfortunately, we had to put in a bunch of language because legal required it, and those are suggestions, not actual restrictions. And we realized people think of them as restrictions rather than suggestions. So we've gone back to them and said, look, can we move suggestions and actual legalese to separate? So it's a much better agreement. Please reach out again if you have those issues. I'm sure the new version is something that is now pretty straight up and upfront, and we put the suggestions on the completely the other side, so you should not have this. Kamran, do chatbots also need extensive data for learning? No, they don't. So remember, these are perspective models, right? They take the perspective of and the instructions what you do. So please take our online chatbot course. It takes 3.5 minutes to make a bot. Any data you have existing in your company or you know about can quickly be used to make any sort of chatbot or agentic model right now. These are not difficult. It's super easy. And that's why you see this huge boom in AI is the lack of need for a lot of data. You don't need lots of data. You need high quality data and you need high quality instruction. Carolyn, How does the certification work? I'm a consultant to better advise my clients. Carolyn, so we have two parts. One is the training part, which is about going out and inspiring people on AI and training. We have a separate thing for consultants. If you're interested in that, please do send. We've onboarded a very limited number right now. We are expanding that offering in the next 2 to 3 months. And the idea is to help you become an AI consultant. And what we found, a large part of the consulting process is about client handholding, really understanding their needs, being able to be an agent of change and transformation, process all of this stuff. And the AI part is something that we can help you at the back end to really push that off, and as well as one train, but of course then act as a partner in there. And then that's how we're trying to get more and more people and more organizations to transform, is to really help them on the AI side. Again, we find 90% of most engagements have less to do with AI and more to do with very traditional transformation, consulting, understanding, and sort of deep diving in things which consultants are really good at. And the AI part is just nice to have on top. Louis, the coupon apply for the online trainer program? I don't think so. The training program is intentionally kept I think at a standard $1,000. We do it in person, online, and all. That's more to make sure that people are serious rather than anything else. We have a lot of interest in the training program. We do want to make sure that our trainers are committed and they have a certain level of quality. And I think putting a little bit of money up front is one of those things that sort of separates people who just sign up. And we had a lot of those a couple of years ago that wouldn't finish the program, they wouldn't show up, they'd become trainers and do nothing with that. Hence, that amount is there for more than anything else. Ida, can AI analyze big data? 100%. We have a very good analytics course. Please have a look at that. That's part of that's part of almost all of our courses, and that's how to do everything from warehouse analytics to fraud detection to all of those using the new AI models, but using traditional AI techniques. And that's something that's absolutely there. How are government using AI? Oh, all over the place. So we've done a fair amount of work with various governments on really helping them think about AI. But there's a lot of public of this as well as how they're using AI. It's going to be a huge boom. I think it's going to really bring down the cost of delivering services to citizens. Obviously, each government has different values, so how they use AI might change from government to government, as you can imagine. But that's a sovereign issue. But everything from just being able to communicate more effectively with stakeholders to a lot of work at the back end, which can be automated now with AI, and to a lot of analytics that allows them to make very good decisions. They had these tools in the past, and for smaller governments across the world without big budgets, this was an issue. But now with all these AI tools democratizing in data analytics, democratizing the ability to analyze fraud detection, all of this, we're seeing governments really be able to make a huge impact, not just on their annual budgets, but the quality of both internal and external services that they're able to offer. The big thing for governments, however, is to figure out, and that's going to be 2025, is where do they fall on AI regulations? And this is a big thought process that we are working with a few governments on as well. And we're also trying to come out with white papers on what we feel regulations will work and won't work. The problem that we are finding, however, is that every economy is different. Every government has different challenges, different demographics, different mix of people. And one recommendation that works for one government is not really applicable to the other. And I think so each government right now needs to take a step back and really think for themselves, what are the appropriate AI opportunities and regulations for them and their people. It's not going to be a one size fits all. What the US needs, very different from India, very different from the UAE, very different from a Brazil or a Colombia. And I think I'm hoping that this year they really start to think through what are the consequences of a good regulation and of bad regulation, honestly. I think the EU, for example, is taking a few steps back, but at least they're thinking about this now in a more sophisticated way. Nazim, how wise it is to upload internal confidential data for various data analytics from data privacy angle? Um, Nazim, we have an entire module on data privacy on this, so please have a look of it online. The short answer, it is very safe as long as you've enabled the privacy settings. All of the major model companies, whether it's Google or OpenAI and such, have now in 2025 very good privacy and confidentiality settings, but you need to go and enable them. So make sure they're enabled before you upload anything confidential. If you need compliance, all of them have very good compliance trust centers, which are able to give you SOC 2, SOC 3, GDPR, CSA star, all of the major compliances as well. So again, not a big issue, but just please make sure you have enabled those settings. Laura Lee, great success with chatbots for customer questions. Absolutely. Laurie, so let me clarify. Chatbots are fantastic for very basic tasks. You have website chatbots, you have codes and all chatbots. The reason why we want to move away from chatbots is because there are much more sophisticated ways to use AI within organizations. And that includes multi-agentic system, that includes a lot of stuff happening in series and parallel. So I think chatbots last year was fantastic. This year, however, there are much more sophisticated methods to do it. Second, chatbots have a very high error rate. We are concerned that unless you put a lot of effort and time and energy into them, there is a huge validation problem. And so we advise customers to use them particularly for productivity, for client-facing stuff where they're answering basic questions, FAQs. We make a lot of these chatbots, and you can see them even in our courses for internal use as well, but we like to move them rather than in a chatbot mode to connect them to more advanced systems such as ERPs, CRMs, and all to get better exact data, but then also to use email rather than chatbots to slow things down a bit. So there's a process of human in the loop, validation, expert sign-offs, and this. If it works, that's fantastic. Our concern is more that we've seen as you have 20, 30, 40, 50 chatbots starting to go all across the organization, one or two of them will fail miserably, and then there's a loss of trust. And so going to more traditional methods like connecting these to emails, connecting them to trusted data sources, we found a more sustainable acceptance of them. But again, they're still very, very valuable and useful in highly specific roles. So I didn't mean to say that, throw them out completely, but it's not something that we are now focusing as much on because we're seeing the big leaps in beyond individual productivity and using chatbots, the organization level transformations, moving beyond them to agentic systems, which are basically chatbots on steroids, are really helping a lot more. Abhishek, are the online training courses, the session times flexible? They're absolutely flexible. They are at your times, and it's designed to do that. We have trainers from all across the world, and so we have very flexible. It's at your pace from start to finish, including the final exams. Srashav, are there discount for the memberships? Yes, I put in the Web 10. Please have a look for that. Those are there. We do have, of course, free courses, which I've also sent. Please look at those as well. And the goal, of course, apart from just access to the courses, as a membership, you get access to our full prompt directories. You do get access to a lot of other resources as well. And we're expanding those more and more as things start off. So the Web 10 coupon code will work as soon as we finish the webinar, and you should try it again right now. It should be working right now. Sasha, will the HR course be included with the CU course? If you subscribe to the founder member course, all courses in the next year or 2 years will be available for you for free. And that's why the membership is so useless. We try to give it's a one package, all of the courses, all of our access, all of our systems should be. Patrick, email me. We'll figure this out. Self-paced training, AC, absolutely. All our courses online are self-paced and training, and please have a look at these. Ambrish, if you just want the certification, do the AI for professionals, do the AI for C-suite. Those are good enough. Please become a trainer only if you want to become a trainer. Otherwise, all the online courses are good enough for you to get a great certification AI and start using them. The trainer courses is specifically designed for people who actually want to go out and do this, either as, for making money, social service, training their own organization, internal capacity building, all of that. Last question, because I've been told we've hit time. Um, Data privacy in 2025 is solved, so please don't worry about it. It is absolutely something that was a huge, huge concern for everybody for the last 2 years. The only thing which I request is please make sure the data privacy settings are turned on in whichever model you're using. At scale, for large enterprises, there are very good compliance methods and techniques that you can take through for full security compliance, particularly, of course, if you're financial services, healthcare, government. This is not an issue anymore in 2025. Very happy to help and then answer those in detail. We do have an entire data privacy section and course online, which you can deep dive into some of these aspects. But again, if you need more comfort, just drop us an email, drop us a contact. Happy to help you figure those out. Thank you very much for joining us today. All of you should be getting your certificates within 24 hours for attending. Brilliant questions. And please do amazing things with AI. This is going to be an incredible year ahead. And we're already seeing so many great updates. And hopefully, I'll see you for our next State of AI update in about 30 days' time. Thank you. Have a great day.